Your lack of authenticity is holding you back. I know and believe that the key to happiness and the key to success and the key to just being magnetic, if you want to be your truly most magnetic self, you have to be yourself. And then it's like a lot of the times we hear that, like, be yourself, be yourself, be yourself. But it's like, how do you actually be yourself? So the first thing that you got to do is you got to stop masking and you got to stop dimming your light. So when you're in a conversation with somebody and you feel the need to like have that like performance, like, oh, hi, like, hi, why are you faking? Like, I feel like we perform to keep ourselves safe, but that's the illusion. We were always safe, whether we perform or not. We just don't trust ourselves that, like, we're gonna be okay if we allow ourselves to be vulnerable enough to be ourselves. But whole time, the danger was never really a threat. It is an illusion. Not to say that it's not something that shouldn't feel scary, because growth doesn't come with uncomfort. You have to feel uncomfortable in some type of way to grow. It's gonna feel scary. But the more that you embrace it, the more it's going to become a new normal. And the more that you feel free, like, you know what? I don't have to fake it. Like, there are genuinely some times where people will talk to me and I just won't have a response. And instead of like scattering my brain to find a response, I'll just be like, and it just makes me feel happy because I'm no longer performing for people. So if you don't feel like, if today is not your day, let's say, like, you know you're not feeling good today, you owe it to yourself to be able to exist without having to constantly perform for other people to make sure that they're okay and that they're safe, because then you're putting their comfort zone above yours. You're putting their wants, their needs above yours. Acknowledge what you want to do and act upon it. Stop dimming your light. This is kind of the same as stop masking. Stop masking is me basically saying show up as your authentic self. I'm not telling you to go out and be a bitch, because one thing we are not bitches. We show people respect, but we're not going to fake the funk. We're just going to be. We're just going to exist. If we want to be our awkward selves, okay, I'm going to do that. And I'm still worthy at the end of the day because it's me. If you don't like it, that doesn't determine my worth, or it doesn't dim it. But like I'm saying, on to dimming your light. Dimming your light literally comes from, let me not do this, or let me not wear that because I don't want to be too much. You know? Even with me in college, this is an example. I wanted to start exploring my fashion taste a little bit more. And there will sometimes be outfits where I'll feel like, oh, let me not wear that because I don't want my friends feeling like I'm being extra. Make them bitches uncomfortable. How dare I dim my light? How dare you dim your light in your world where everybody else is living in it? You control your world. How dare you give up your power to somebody else and live on their terms? No, baby, you're taking your power back today. If you want to be extra, you want to be extra. If you want to be loud, you want to be loud. Dimming your light is removing the rules that simply were put in place that do not need to be there. Who says you can't do that? Who says you can't be that? Where are all these self limitations coming from? All these self doubts coming from to keep us boxed and to keep us contained? That is like conforming. When babe, you're shrinking, you're shrinking yourself down. You're like this huge, even bigger than this, forcing yourself to fit in this small box. And it's like, you don't feel right doing it because you're not happy. You're constantly anxious all the time because your brain is wired to constantly think of, or what if I do this, or what if this happens, or what if, that you can't even exist in peace anymore. You're not even allowed to be anymore. Well, babe, I'm here to tell you that voice doesn't have to exist. The only reason that voice exists because we grew up in a world where people are forcing us to conform. It literally starts in a classroom. Up in a world where people are constantly telling you, oh, stop doing that. You're too this, you're too that, you're too much, you're too loud, be quiet, you talk too much. That is what develops that inner voice that makes us hyper vigilant, hyper observant, because we don't feel safe anymore, because we basically just got told that our authentic selves were too much as kids and conforming to this shitty world when we were never supposed to. We were genuinely never supposed to. So we have to go back and unlearn that and reinforce to our younger selves and our present selves that it's like, no, you're not too much. You were never too much. You were never too loud. You were never this. Even if people didn't appreciate you, you were always enough. You were always worthy. You were always the shit. The reason why those people never liked you is because they couldn't stand the light that you possessed within you. Because you were never meant to fit in. And if anything, your light was so bright that it triggered their traumas, okay? That's why they didn't like you. That's why they condemned you. And school teaches you how to dim your lights, how to be a worker, how to be a robot. We are not robots. So getting back to your authentic self is the key to freedom again. And you really got to tell your brain, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Because it doesn't need to exist. By you thinking, by you overanalyzing things, you are no longer present. You are disconnected from your body, and now you are living in the future, anticipating the future, creating outcomes that don't exist. And that's because it's a lack of trust. There's a lack of trust within yourself to allow you to be your authentic self, to allow you to just exist, to allow you to trust yourself to handle anything or any outcome when it arises. When you get there, you get there, but you're not currently there. You're like 10 steps ahead when you haven't even opened the door yet. Like, what are we doing? So it's like you miss your present by being in the future and worrying. Stop worrying. Because what is there to fear? Like, literally think about your past. You've experienced everything at the time that you've experienced it, and you are all right. It just happened when it happened. You're good. So let that same mindset be throughout your future. Also, when it comes to authenticity, I feel like you are more in tune with your creativity. Kids, allow yourself to be bored sometimes. When we constantly have distractions, music, radios, phones, creativeness can't strike. Think of a child. A child has nothing to do, they're bored. But kids, I don't know if you ever heard this phrase before, but my mom, she used to always say, you're always up to something. Always has to be, because there was nothing to do. Like, let's say you're like outside in the parking lot, or just like outside in general, and your kid is right next to you. What is the kid going to do? Probably pick up a stick, and they're going to start carving in the ground or making some type of like mud pie. They're going to get creative because boredom sparks creativity. Allow yourself to sit in that boredom at least for 10 minutes, 30 minutes, and then watch the ideas flow to you, come to your mind. Also, I want you to stop thinking so limitedly. Like, a lot of people are only doing things for money. Like, dang, like, I need money to do this. Like, I need money to do that. Think more abundantly. Like, I'm gonna have to do a whole separate video on this, but the difference between a lack mindset and abundant mindset. Kids know that all things are possible, that they can do all things. We instill that in them, that they can do anything. And money, especially because they're a kid, they're not an adult yet, it's not a worry. So they're just free to exist. And it's like when you don't have that worry for money, It puts a trust in God to know that he's going to provide. You feel me? And then along with creativity being sparked within your authenticity, I feel like that puts you on your path of your highest timeline, which will naturally attract success in the way that it's supposed to. For instance, I had a homegirl, very creative, knew how to draw really well, got gifted a tattoo gun, and she always had like the ideas, the spark of ideas, like, like let me just try it. But she never did. She stayed in her comfort zone. She truly did not allow herself to be a beginner. That's what kids do. They're quick to try any and everything because they're not afraid to start from the beginning. They're not afraid to be a beginner. Your most authentic self is when you were a child, because that's when the least conformity happened to you. You feel me? But anyways, as I was saying, so if she were to act on that idea of doing that tattoo gun, her truest heart's desire is to not want to work a 9 to 5, is to not work a 9 to 5. And she wants to be financially free. Whether she realizes it or not, but God knows. But if she were to pick up that tattoo gun, she would have realized how fun it was. And she would have, in like 1 or 2 weeks, she could have been like, you know what, I can take clients $5 to $10. That could have expanded to $200, quickly. So anytime that you get a spark of creative ideas, it didn't come to you for no reason. It came to you because you have the power to make it exist and bring it into your reality. There's some alternate universe out there where you have made that a tangible thing in your reality, and it exists out there for a reason. So yes, know that you have the power to do all things. And when you act on it, it's an insight from God, like, hey, I'm trying to get you into alignment with your highest timeline so I can bring you fulfillment, what I know that you really desire. You just have to step out your comfort zone for me and trust me. And trust yourself a little bit more. I bet you'll be thankful. Think about when you're dead, on your deathbed. You decided to stay in your comfort zone all your life. You decided to not do any of those things, act on any of those ideas. And now all of those ideas that you had are going to the grave with you. And you are more than capable. You know that. You can do it. You know that. But you stood in your own way, wasting your life. Think about how regretful of a life you would have felt. Like, dang, I wonder how life would have been if I would have just tried that thing or just went that way. Think about how many dead people already feel that way, who wasted their life. Learn from them and don't repeat. That's all I have to say. So thank y'all for watching.